climate change is affecting all seasons and regions. Storms are meaner and hang around longer.
They're more frequent. These things are not just one storm of a century. You're having 3 storms of a century that you live through. We're seeing them being more intense.
You have to realize that this is happening, and it's happening to people who are living in major cities and who are increasingly vulnerable to those effects.
More than 1,000 people have been forced to abandon their homes in Argentina as heavy rainfall and strong winds tear through the country. The severe weather has already affected 6 provinces. The province has had 4 continuous days of fierce storms and up to 200 millimeters of rainfall, described as the worst in the region in 40 years.
Authorities in Solomon Islands are calling it the worst flooding disaster in living memory. 16 people are confirmed dead and thousands have been left homeless in the capital, Honiara.
Radio New Zealand has reported that the Solomon Islands government has said the floods have left thousands homeless and an unconfirmed number of people missing.
The sea level is rising and there are signs of erosion along the coastline.
A raging forest fire has burned down around 500 homes in the hills of one of Chile's main cities, leaving at least 4 people dead. The president put the army in charge of the evacuation after declaring the city, which is 70 miles west of Santiago, a disaster zone.
A rare 4.9 magnitude earthquake shook central Idaho tonight. Experts say it's the strongest quake to hit that area in nearly a decade. No major damage has been reported. But a more powerful 7.6 magnitude quake triggered large waves in the Solomon Islands near Australia today. But experts say there is no threat of a tsunami for the West Coast, Alaska, or Hawaii.
Reports continue to flood into our newsroom tonight. Some sort of, quote, fireball falling from the sky.
You've seen some falling stars before. I mean, tell me how different this was. This one was just much larger and much brighter, and the entire object was lit up all the way around, where normally when I see a falling star, it's just a pin light.
As Ita struck, pieces of Cooktown were stripped away. Winds at the cyclone's core reached 200 kilometres an hour as the eye passed over Cape Flattery just before 10 o'clock. Heavy rain blasted the township as trees twisted under the savage Category 4 storm. The fury raged for hours through to dawn.
Authorities say Ida's crossing is unusual for the Tablelands. Locals say it's rare for a cyclone centre to get so close.
Loud booms in Chesterfield County, you're not alone.
Deb lives near Pocahontas State Park in Chesterfield and just before midnight wrote that booms shook her entire house and had been doing so all day long.
Michelle Kissinger says she felt her house shake Tuesday night.
Thought it was thunder, just a rolling noise in the distance.
Viewers contacted CBS 6 saying they heard the booms all the way from southern Chesterfield to Innsbruck and Henrico.
That blockbuster astronomical event overnight that just lit up Twitter and Instagram, the blood moon. Millions, not us, but millions staying up to catch a glimpse of the lunar eclipse.
This is the first of 4 total lunar eclipses, or blood moons, we'll see in the next year and a half.
It's just a wonder of nature, and the people out here getting a chance to see it.
But for some, the appearance of the blood moon signifies that, Houston, we may have a problem. Conspiracy theorists link lunar eclipses to major historical events.
Imagine driving at night and seeing this light up the sky. It's dash cam video. Look at that just light up there. It looks like it's
Yeah, and don't we recall that it was Russia where there was once a meteor that actually made impact,
That's right.
made a big boom, etc. And I don't know if this says Russia is just that big or just that unlucky.
They love their dash cam.
7.2 earthquake near a very popular vacation spot, Acapulco, Mexico. Families there to celebrate Easter, Americans there too on spring break. And it comes just weeks after that other big quake in California. So many wondering tonight what's going on.
This morning's sudden jolt near Acapulco, big enough to sound the alarms 200 miles away in this TV studio in Mexico City. People scurrying out of their buildings. A 7.2 magnitude shaker follows close on the heels of the 8.2 earthquake in Chile and a 5.1 quake here in Los Angeles. Is it my imagination, or have there been a lot of earthquakes recently?
We've had a cluster over the last month.
Geological Survey says an earthquake struck late Saturday off Papua New Guinea's eastern coast with a preliminary magnitude of 7.5. Saturday's incident is the latest in the series of seismic events in the region over the week.
It is being described as the deadliest accident in the history of modern mountaineering on Mount Everest. Officials in Nepal say at least 12 people have been killed in an avalanche.
This was an avalanche that swept down at an unexpected time of day.
That avalanche swept down Mount Everest early in the morning, killing at least 12 and leaving at least 3 missing as rescue crews searched frantically for any survivors.
We've been keeping an eye on a slow-motion landslide that is now picking up speed in Jackson, Wyoming. It has already split a hillside home in half and forced dozens of people to evacuate.
Unlike a typical landslide where the earth shifts in an instant, these cracks have been creeping for 2 weeks. The cracks crept beyond the house, downhill, and then ruptured this Walgreens parking lot. The landslide may have been triggered by unusually heavy snow in the Rockies.
The view from the air was daunting. 2 homes on either side of a sinkhole that was collapsing.
As I was coming back from my walk, I don't see the tree. I thought somebody stole the tree or something.
This is by far the most extreme that I've seen it, where we've been actually working on a home and something has opened up.
When one Albuquerque woman stumbled across dozens of dead bees near a popular trail, she was worried.
Those bees were found on a stretch of sidewalk near the Albuquerque Academy. And while it's tough to say what killed them, one local bee expert weighs in on just how important they really are.
All of a sudden, we noticed a lot of dead and dying bees. I knew something wasn't right.
Matt Vave has studied bees for 20 years. To see so many bees turn up like this, he says it's not a good sign, adding it's tough to say what killed them.
It was felt as far away as Washington State. A magnitude 6.6 earthquake hit off the coast of Port Hardy tonight just after 8 o'clock Pacific time. Area residents say the ground shook for about 35 to 40 seconds during the preliminary quake, and that was followed by 2 fairly significant aftershocks.
A massive sandstorm has swept through northeastern China, causing over 100 fires and extensive damage. Turning the middle of the day into night, visibility has been reduced to nearly 0 in some states, dropping to freezing temperatures in some areas.
You may have heard a loud boom noise this morning. Lots of calls came into our newsroom about it, and we've been investigating where it came from all day.
We don't know much about where the noise came from, but some of you say you heard.
I haven't heard anything that loud, honestly, since leaving Iraq.
New tonight, loud booms are the talk of the town in Osceola County tonight, but nobody knows where the sound is coming from.
Residents have taken to social media to theorize what's making the sound.
A spokeswoman with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office told me detectives are investigating, and at least 8 people called deputies to report the noise last night. A noise residents want gone as fast as it's disrupted their quiet community.
I'm sure there's a logical explanation, but we'd all love to know.
Police officers say the phone calls about it would not stop.
You also called us wanting to know what it was. We sent Hannah Davis to find out.
A lot of people in the area report hearing a very loud boom.
Many people who were in Ocean City heard a loud boom shake the area. Many of our viewers called our station earlier this afternoon to find out what the noise could have been.
Several countries in West Africa are now coping with the worst outbreak of the Ebola virus in years. The World Health Organization describes it as one of the most challenging episodes of the disease it has ever faced. More than 100 people have died so far.
We're seeing it spreading into several countries. That's unusual, right?
We've never seen this before. This, as MSF put it correctly, this is unprecedented.
Ukraine's prime minister says this morning Russia wants to, quote, start World War III.
Russia has massed tens of thousands of troops on its border with Ukraine and is now carrying out military exercises. But tensions inside Ukraine are running high, and Russia claims it has the right to intervene in eastern Ukraine if its interests are attacked.
Dramatic escalation of tensions on the Korean peninsula this morning. The North and South traded artillery fire for hours. South Korean officials say the North fired shells across a disputed sea boundary. Troops from the South returned fire into North Korean waters.